Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's technical analysis webinar. We will be looking at trend analysis. I hope all of you can hear me well. I've got a couple of responses. Before we start off, just drop in a chat message if you can hear me clearly and if I'm audible. If there is any glitches in the video that I'm going to be playing right now, or if you see any glitches with the audio, please inform before we start the session. We'll just start the session once I get a couple of replies from you. All right, so I'm guessing all of you all are able to hear me well, which is good. So let's start with today's sessions. Again, welcome to each one of you all who have taken time to join the webinar today. My name is Vivian. I've been with Century for the last 6 years. I expertise in quantitative analysis as well as technical analysis. So today, the webinar that we'll be looking at will be pretty much more on the technical analysis side of it. If you all are very new to this, do not worry. It is going to cover all the basics. If you are already an experienced trader, I hope this adds more value and more knowledge to the experience that you already hold. So let's look at today's topic, and I will take you through a couple of indicators that will help you while taking decisions. Some of the decisions can be made on short term, some can be made on long term, but eventually the application of these technical analysis remain the same. The only difference between a short term and a long term would be the time duration of what the objective that you're looking for in an investment. To move forward, I would also appreciate it by the end of the webinar. If you like the webinar and if you found it informative, please give us a review on Google. That would be much appreciated, and we hope to bring you more webinars, more topics, and you can give me your feedback and your comments at the end of the session, so that I'll be able to cater to all the requirements that you are looking out there in the market. Let's start with technical analysis. So, in simple word, technical analysis is basically derived out of past price movement. For example, there are certain prices or certain level of price where a particular stock goes to, and then you see every time it goes to that particular price, it tends to go back up from there. So let's say if you take a stock which drops, for example, let's say there's a stock which trades around $80 a stock. But if you take a look at the last maybe 5 years, maybe last 1 year, or it can be even on a short term, maybe for the last 2 weeks, you see the price from $80 come down to maybe 70, and then it goes back up. And then you see it happening again. It comes to maybe this time not 70, maybe it comes down to 71, 72, again goes back up. So these are basically technical levels where investors are looking to buy into. Basically, what happens is because everybody is looking at the same price action, they tend to buy when it comes back to those same levels because history has repeated itself. But reality is not every single time history repeats itself. So I would advise that every trade, no matter how good the indicator is, or how accurate the indicator could be, or how many times it has made profit for you, it is always advisable to have a risk management and a plan B at all times. And I will show you how to keep that as well as we move forward in the session. The technical definition would be technical analysis is a trading discipline employed to evaluate investments, basically stocks, commodities, and identify trading opportunities, whether to buy, whether to book your profit, or if you know what short selling is, you look at opportunities to short sell as well by analyzing statistical trends. So the example that I gave you was in this particular stock, you saw a trend. You know, the price from $80 drops to 70, goes back up. It happens again, it goes back up. So there's a trend that forms where eventually every investor or a trader would look at that, capturing that trend. So that's what the analysis, technical analysis definition means. The second thing, the first indicator that we'll be going to be looking at is relative strength index. For those of you who are very new to this, do not worry about how the computation of a relative strength index is done, you can always Google that out, or you can YouTube to identify how they calculate to get the strength. For now, let's look at if you have a relative strength index indicator in your platform, how are you going to use that to take advantage of a market opportunity? So basically, it is a momentum indicator. It is also known as an oscillator. An oscillator is something which moves between 2 points, two given points only. It does not, go beyond a certain point. So relative strength index comes under an oscillator technical indicator. I will show you a couple of examples on the chart as well for you to get a much better understanding. Moving forward, this is the CMC platform. If you already have an account with us, you already know how the platform works. But if you're new to Century, you can ask your market consultants or whoever has been in touch with you to give you a demo account, and you pretty much get all of this available even on a demo. Now, coming to this particular chart over here, we are looking at SPX 500. SPX 500 is the index of US, the top 500 companies. I'm sure most of you all who read the news, at least of the US markets, everything is compared to SPX 500. SPX 500 is the benchmark where every fund manager or every investor tries to look at where the market is, how healthy the market conditions are, and where the market is currently trading at. And so this is a monthly chart. We go to technicals. We are looking at technicals today. You click on technicals and you go to studies. Under technicals, there are two overlays and studies. We're going to be going to studies. You click on studies, then you get RSI. I hope the screen is clear for you. You're able to look at this, but once you go into your technicals, you should find RSI even on the search button on the left hand side. Now, once you click on RSI, the oscillator opens for you at the bottom. Remember, I said RSI is an oscillator. So in this particular price action or the price movement of SPX, you see SPX has dropped, it has gone back up, and it continues going up further. But in this case, just hold on 1 minute. I'm really sorry. Just give me a minute. I'm sorry for that interruption. I hope all of you all can hear me now again. Yeah. So this particular trend continues, but an oscillator is something which moves between two different points. An oscillator is like a pendulum on a clock. In this case, this moves up and down instead of sideways. So RSI is made out of 0 to 100%. So there's a 100% width that has been given to RSI. Now, depending on the market movement, either it is going to come down or it is going to go up. So every time it drops down, it comes down towards the 0%. Every time it goes up, it can go up to an extreme of 100%. Now, at no given point in time, we would see the market push through the 100%, nor go below the 0%. And that's how RSI has been calculated. Again, RSI refers to relative strength index. It is showing you the strength that is there in the market when it is going up, and it is showing you the strength when the market is dropping. Now, in this case, you see two lines over here on RSI, right? So the blue line basically refers to 70%. You can customize it. You can make this upward limit even 80% if you need to. But a standard process of RSI is everyone looks at the 70% as the higher limit and 30% on the lower end as the lower limit. Now, how does this matter to us? Every time it goes above your 70% mark, as per RSI, the strength in the market is pretty much being overbought. So it indicates the overbought region. So at any given point in time, we would see sellers coming back into the market to push the prices back down. So that's what RSI indicates. I know it looks simple, but practicality needs a lot of practice and a lot of experience before you take trades on just a overbought or a oversold signal. But in this case, just to understand the basic of how people use RSI, You see a simple trade over here. Eventually, in this case, the market did go up a little bit, but eventually dropped. Then it came down below the 30%. That is where it was oversold. So eventually, buyers came back into this particular region, and you see the prices going back up. So that's how a relative strength index is used in the market to identify opportunities. If you had a buy, you would look at booking your profits here. If you did not take any positions, you wait for an oversold position so that you can buy or at a price where it is a good level to enter. So this basically eliminates the confusion of what price a person should be looking to buy at, because when a drop comes in, even this particular drop looks like a good buy over here, but if we had to take a buy at this price, anyone who bought at this price would have lost further because the price continued to drop down. So there are indicators. One is the RSI indicator. Then we have few other indicators that I'll be showing you while I show you a demo that will help you identify when not to enter the market. At the same time, which will give you a good indication as to when you could expect to enter the market. Let's move forward. I hope I am clear so far. If you have any questions, please drop it in the chat, and I will try and answer your questions as I progress with the webinar. Now let's look at the next technical indicator, that is the average true range. This basically is very simple to understand. An average true range is a indicator that helps you understand how many dollars a particular instrument can move. For example, if you're looking at a particular stock and you're looking at a daily time frame, you want to understand what movement can this particular stock give me in a single day. So what an average true range does for you is it computes for the last 10 days, last 21 days, last 50 days, depending on how much time frame you're looking at, and gives you the average price movement that particular instrument can make. I'll show you a couple of examples as well on this. I've got one question. What is the time frame we should evaluate the RSI? 1 month, 1 day, or 4 hours? That's a very good question. Basically, you look at RSI depending on the objective for your trade. If you are looking for a very long-term trade, or if you're an investor who is looking to take advantage of the market for anywhere between starting from 6 months to 1 year to even 5 years, you look at a monthly time frame. But let's say you're an investor who looks at not taking advantage of a very long time frame, but you're just trying to take advantage of a daily move or a weekly move, then you can start looking at a time frame which is on 4 hours, depending on the market movement that particular instrument gives. I will show you a couple of examples on these questions as well, so we can cover what time frame is best suited for what kind of investments, or what time frame of results can you expect out of each time frame. Yeah. So now coming back to the chart again, we go back to technical indicators over here. Click on technicals. You go back to studies. And once you click on studies, you will find ATR. Again, if you cannot find it because there are a lot of indicators, you can just use the search button and type in your indicator and it will pop up for you. Now I've clicked on average true range, and now you see the average true range of SPX from all the way from 1995 till today. So we are looking at a monthly time frame, so it's a very long time frame. But we can, why I've chosen this chart is for us to see how SPX used to behave at one given point in time, and how many dollars it can move as of today. In this case, you see between 2000 to almost 2010, actually, in fact, almost till 2015, SPX used to move in a range of just $80 in a given month. So that means, okay, the one thing to be noted over here is when I say SPX can move $80, it does not signal the direction of the move. $80 could be downside in the market, $80 could also be upside in the market. So it does not give you an indication of which direction the market can go. But this $80, what it helps you understand is if you want to invest in SPX month on month, if the price movement happens, you will know it can move on an average of $80 in your favor, or it could also move $80 against you. And that is how it will help you identify a good level to enter and what expectations to have when you enter into this particular product. As of today, SPX moves about $236, which is even better because earlier you would try to capture a $80 moment in a single month. Now the same instrument is giving you a moment of $236. So that means you don't have to take a huge position in the market. You can take lesser exposures in the market, but still try and capture a big portion of SPX on a monthly time frame again. Now that is what ATR does for us. Now we'll come back to the ATR on a live chart. We'll also come back to RSI on the live chart. Moving on with RSI, there are certain divergence that we look at in the market. Now RSI, like I mentioned to you, RSI overbought or oversold looks like a very good indicator. Every time it is at oversold, you just buy the market. Every time it is at overbought, you just sell the market. It looks as simple as that, but in reality, it is not always going to be as simple as that. You will need to have at least one or two other confirmations before you take any other trade. So there are different ways of confirmations. You can wait and look at the price action on every candlestick before you take a decision. Or you can combine two, three other indicators, or you can combine the candlestick movement or the price action along with the RSI to see the strength and to get a double confirmation before you enter into taking any decision or taking any advantage of any opportunity. Now, divergence is a popular concept in technical analysis. It has been used with MACD. If you all have used MACD, this for all the experienced traders. This describes when the price is moving in the opposite direction of the technical indicator. I'll show you a couple of examples on this as well. There are two types of divergence. One is regular divergence, one is hidden divergence. Each of these divergence has two types of bias. Bullish bias, bullish meaning we expect the prices to go up. Bearish bias meaning we expect the prices to come down. Let's look at a couple of examples so that you get a much more clear idea of what are divergences and then how people take advantage of the divergences. Regular divergence, again, pretty much what we looked at, it has a bullish and a bearish divergence. A regular divergence is used as a possible sign for a trend reversal. So usually on a regular divergence, people look at what point in time or at which level could the trend reverse. For example, a stock has been climbing up, but now let's say you did not buy the stock, but you want to buy the stock and you're waiting for the reversal to happen. So a regular divergence could give you a reversal signal as to at what point it can reverse back so that you can plan your buying the position. On the other side, let's say you actually bought a particular stock and it is moving up, but once you see a divergence in the market where you feel trend reversal is going to happen, that will be the indicator for you to book your profits, exit out of the position. When the market drops back down, you again identify a good entry point to enter back into the market. So a regular divergence helps you to identify trend reversal. Okay, it does not help you go with the trend. It helps you to take a decision or to understand where the trend could stop and start reversing. Let's look at one example over here. This is Euro USD. It's a currency pair. Again, it was on a 4-hour time frame. You see the prices of Euro USD. This chart looks a little different for those of you who are very new to trading, is because instead of the candlesticks that I've used earlier on the chart, over here I've just used the line chart. The price movement pretty much is the same. It's just a different graphical representation. Now, in this case, we see the price of Euro USD is making lower lows. So that means every time it goes up, it comes down and makes a new low. So this case indicates that the market is dropping, right? But what we learned on RSI is every time RSI goes to oversold, the prices can be expected to move back up. Now, in this case, every time Euro USD made a new low, RSI did not go below the threshold of 30% and make a new low again. It did not go to the oversold region, meaning the buyers are buying back into Euro USD even before it goes into the oversold region. So in this case, a divergence is created when you see lower lows. That means the trend of the stock or the instrument is going down. Whereas on the other side, where usually RSI follows the trend, it is pretty much the same as the movement of the stock or the particular instrument. But RSI is giving a complete opposite indication. RSI is making higher lows. So you see, this is making lower lows and this is making higher lows. So now you connect 3 points, and in technical indicators, anything that repeats more than 2 to 3 times, be it a support or a resistance or three different, a price where it has been revisited 3 times consecutively, that becomes a stronger support. Now, there are rules that people follow. A minimum of 3 points needs to be touched before you take a decision in the market, which is always very good. Higher the confirmation, the better chances of you taking advantage of the market in the right direction. So in this case, it has been 3 times where RSI actually came down. In fact, there has been a fourth time, but it did not form on the trend line. So the third time this dropped here, the third time RSI also was on the upside. It gave you a buy signal, and pretty much the price of Euro USD rallied quite a bit. If you notice earlier, when it dropped, it rallies, it goes up, but it did not give an extreme big move above the previous high. Same thing happened here. It came down, it went back up, it did not give an extreme move high. But in this case, it came down and the move was completely towards the upside before it started dropping. And it started dropping once it touched the overbought position. So, three confirmations and two different price action on the stock or the currency itself was going lower, whereas RSI, instead of going lower with the currency, has been making higher lows. So hence this became a bullish divergence. Again, keep in mind, bullish means we expect the prices to go up. Now let's look at a bearish divergence. Bearish divergence is completely exactly the opposite of what we just saw on a bullish divergence. On a bearish divergence, you see the market on this, again I've taken Euro USD, is making higher highs. So every time Euro USD drops, when it goes back up, it makes a higher high. It dropped, it went back up, it made another new high. Whereas similarly, we should be seeing the same pattern happening in RSI, where it goes up, makes a higher high, but in this case, it has not. So this is where we found another divergence in the market. What it signifies is that every time it goes high, there are more sellers that is pushing the prices back down even before it goes to the overbought position. So again, 3 points has been touched on RSI, so it has given you a sell signal. And in this case, most of them would have gotten lucky because it gives you a sell signal right at the top. So anyone who took a short position, again, for those of you who do not know what a short position is, you can take a sell in the market without buying it, or shorting the market is what they say. When the prices come down, you make profit on that. We'll get into a more practical explanation on short selling probably in the next session. But this way, a short seller would have made money when the market dropped. Now coming to, okay, so the regular divergence is the best used when you are trying to pick tops and bottoms, which you must have understood looking at the charts. Now let's look at the hidden divergence. Hidden divergence is for those of you who do not want to take position contra to what is happening in the market. If the market is going up, you would not want to fight it and try and take a short position, or if the market is coming down, you would not want to fight the downside by taking a buy position. Here, investors who look to take when the market is going up, they want to be with the same trend. That is where you look at hidden divergence. Basically, trend is your friend. Trend usually works out for a lot of investors because eventually you catch up with the trend and you hold on to it. In the long run, it is going to give you a good return, provided that you caught the trend at the right time. Now let's look at how do you find that trend? How do you enter into a trend and continue with the trend? Pretty much opposite of what we looked at in divergence that could be seen. This is a hidden divergence. Now, a hidden divergence is basically opposite of what we just saw in the other divergence. Here you see higher lows Over there we saw lower lows. In this case you're looking at higher lows. That means market went up. When it came back down, it did not go below the previous low, so it has been making higher lows. Similarly with the RSI, instead of RSI making higher low, it is actually making lower lows, meaning that it is going into an oversold region. So every time the lower lows hits the lower oversold region on RSI, which is below the 30%, it gives you a buy signal. So eventually from here, you can expect the markets to go back up. So in this case, this is a bullish divergence. So the market has been on the upside. Market gave us that dip and it gave you that confirmation of market continuing the trend, and you hop onto the trend and eventually the market goes in your favor. And this is the hidden bullish divergence. And here we see the bearish divergence, lower highs instead of higher lows. Every high it made a lower high, whereas on RSI every high it made a new high. So again, you see the divergence. This is coming down, but this is going up. This is a hidden divergence where you expect the market to continue with the trend. So the trend of this gold again, gold has been on a downtrend. Basically, this just signaled, and people who are looking to take advantage of the prices dropping on gold would take a short position, and eventually the prices dropped. Okay, I know looking at the chart, this seems very simple and it looks like every trade that we get on the similar fashion might be profitable. In reality, not every signal is a signal which is fail proof. There can be places where you see the similar divergence and you take a short position, but the market can break the divergence and continue going against your trade. So every indicator, irrespective of what hit ratio it may have, it might have maybe 95% hit ratio. That means you take 10 trades, nine of it always goes in your favor, one goes against you. Even in that best case scenario, I would recommend that you should keep stop losses and always should have a well planned strategy before entering into any particular trade. Let's move forward. Again, key takeaways: regular divergence is where you look at trend reversals, hidden divergence is signal for you to take into a trend continuation. Now, let me just share my live charts with you. Any questions so far? I hope I've been slow with my explanation and I hope it has been clear so far. What I'll do is I'll make it a little more clear by showing it to you on a live chart. This is a demo account, but the pricing and the charting, everything is still live. So it becomes more clearer for you to understand RSI. It becomes more clearer to see how you use your ATR along with RSI. All this while I spoke about RSI, I will show you how to use the ATR. Before I jump into showing you a couple of examples, is there any questions before I move into a practical application of these strategies? You can just drop in a message on the chat. If you'll have any questions, please do drop in a message. All right. I think so far, I'm guessing the session has been easy to understand. Okay, let me just close this chart. Let's start from right from the beginning. This is the platform. If you're very new to the platform, this is how the platform looks. You can search for your products directly, or you have the entire list of products that you can search from. For now, for the sake of the example, let's look at is there if there is any instrument that you want to specifically look at, please write that in the chat. I will show you how it works on that instrument. For now, I will still choose SPX. And let's look at what SPX is doing. On the examples that I showed you that SPX has been up all the way from 1995, this is what you saw on a monthly chart. This is where we are at this point of time. This is our monthly chart. SPX is at all-time high. Looks like it's going to move up further. Now let's add our RSI. I've come back to my daily chart. So this is how my monthly chart looks. I'm coming back to my daily chart. For those of you who do not understand monthly and daily chart, basically each candlestick represents the time frame that I choose here. So if I choose a daily chart, it shows me a daily movement. Each candlestick represents the daily movement. Now let's go to technicals. Let's add our ATR. Like we learned, ATR shows us how many dollars a particular instrument can move. I'm looking at a daily time frame, so this particular instrument moves roughly about 50 at this point of time, about $49. It had gone up till $66 just a few days back. Now let's look at RSI. RSI, let me just make this bigger. Pretty much simple to understand. This is the 70%. Make the fonts a little bigger so it's easy to view. Yeah. I hope you can see the sidelines over here. You see this is at 70%, this is at 30%. And I can go back in time pretty much for the last 3 years. And you see what I meant by RSI being an oscillator. You see the price of the stock. Let me just get rid of. Yeah. So if you can look at the price of the stock or this particular instrument has been moving up, down, and right now ever since pandemic, it has just been on one direction upside. But if you look at RSI, RSI does not take the same trend. It always has overbought and oversold region. So let's look at where RSI currently is. RSI at this point in time is showing us one signal, that is it is at overbought position. Technically what it's saying is the market could start reversing from here. Now let's look at the history of overbought and oversold. I'm just going to zoom that in for you. Let's look at this oversold. I'm going to be closing ATR for now. Let's just look at RSI. So you see over here RSI was oversold. You see over here RSI was overbought. Yeah. So I just zoom that out. You see over here RSI was overbought again. Nothing much in between. You see RSI being overbought here. Okay, so this goes on. You can pretty much go back in history and check every overbought, every oversold condition. Now, one thing that you can see every time RSI was at overbought, you see there was a change in direction. Over here, RSI was overbought. This did not give you a change in direction, so hence the stop loss. RSI was overbought, did not give too much of a nosedive here as well. RSI being overbought. There was a slight drop over here, but not too much. Let me zoom this in so you can get a clearer picture. RSI overbought. You saw the drop coming over here after that. In this point, RSI was oversold. Price jumped back up. And right now we have RSI which is overbought 1. And the price also is at its previous resistance. So from here we can expect the prices to pretty much drop back down based on RSI. Okay, now this does not consider your fundamentals of what is happening in the market. What we need to look at is one indication. We need to confirm this with at least few other indications before you take a trade. Now in this case, we know RSI has come to overbought. Now let me put my ATR back. We have another question which says, how long can RSI remain at overbought or oversold position before a reversal? That's a very, very good question. And RSI can always be, overbought position for more than an anticipated period. Not every time RSI touches the overbought region, it signals a sell side. RSI can remain in a overbought position for, let's say, if you're looking at a daily time frame, it might go up to even a month where the RSI could be at a overbought region. And this is where our ATR comes in to help, where we know that when the RSI is overbought and it is not reversing and it is still going up, you know the right time to exit. Now I'll show you how an RSI can help us. Sorry, an ATR can help us not to get stuck in a particular trade and wait for it to come back in our favor. There could be cases where it might not come back to in your favor after you enter, and the range would have completely shifted. I'll show you a couple of examples on that as well. Let's look at the current scenario. Right now, we are looking at the ATR. ATR pretty much signals at this point, it moves about $49. So let's say because my RSI has given me a signal that it is potentially overbought and we could see the prices dropping from here. So as per the RSI, it's very easy. We just understand it's a sell. So you take a position. Let's say for those of you who do not understand short position, again, just as an example, if the price, basically, let me show you, if the price drops, you make profit. But if the price goes up after you take a sell, you make a loss. So basically, if the price goes up, you make a loss. Price comes down, you make a profit. Now let's look at what possibly can go wrong or right in this particular trade. So we know one indication that RSI has given you a sell. Now you decide to take a sell. But now the understanding is, what if the RSI, like the question one of you had asked me, what if the RSI does not, or what if the price of the particular instrument does not start dropping? How long can it keep going up? Again, the upside is indefinite. Again, you can do an analysis based on past historical data. How many days has it continued going up before it gives a drop? That will give you your second indication. Or the other way to do it is use your ATR. In this case, my ATR says if RSI moves about $49, I'm looking at a daily time frame. So that means I'm expecting this drop to happen within next 2-3 days or maximum in the next 1 week. Usually a daily time frame is used for a shorter time frame or to take advantage of a shorter time frame opportunity. Now in this case, I know that SPX moves about $50 a day. So what I would do is, if I take a short position at 4590, I will also make sure I keep a stop loss at pretty much 4640. Sorry, that's 4640. Why did I choose 4640? Basically, it is exactly $48 or $50 above the price I'm planning to enter into the market. Now, this is one way to protect yourself before the RSI remains in the overbought region and it continues to keep going up and your loss increases. Now, there are different ways. Again, people use ATR. They might keep uh, risk reward ratio. Now, when the market drops, you look at the drop, it is a steep drop downward. So you can count at how many days it took for the drop and how many dollars it dropped by. Roughly, in the past historical data, we can measure with this, it drops about 260 points from every time it goes up to a peak. On an average, it can drop about 30 to 40 points as well on a very short term time frame. This was the other drop. So we understand when it goes in our favor, on an average, if you look at this has dropped by $200, this has dropped about 140, this has dropped again about $260. So we understand that in a day, if it goes against me tomorrow continually, it can go against me by $50, and that's where I exit. But in the case where the market starts coming in your favor, and based on the previous historical drops, we understand that it can move easily about $100 to $200. So to match up to your risk reward, if you're risking about $50 on the upside, it is always advisable to have 1:2 risk reward. So if you're risking $50, you should aim to make minimum $100. But in this case, it can give you easily about $200. So you can go ahead and keep a take profit of 200 points lower. So if the price basically from 590 drops to 390, this is the profit a person would make on a 10 unit exposure. If it goes against you, the max loss you're going to make is about $500. So ATR always helps you limit your risk, but at the same time, it can help you maximize your profits as well. ATR gives you a good indication of how many dollars a particular instrument can move, and hence you combine your ATR to keep your stop loss and your take profit. One more way of looking at the ATR on the same particular trade is also we took a decision based on a daily time frame. Now let's look at an ATR on a weekly time frame for the same trade. Let me just remove this. On a weekly time frame, my ATR shows it moves about $110. So now when I'm targeting to make about $110 when it starts going in my favor, it still makes sense because on a weekly time frame, you can actually easily achieve your target of making 110. In this case, we've kept more than $100. You can always modify your take profit. You can decrease your take profit. You can increase your take profit based on the momentum in the market. But one thing that you should always avoid doing is one, you should never stop keeping a stop loss, even if all your trades are going in your favor. Let me close this. Yeah, even if all your trades are going in your favor, you never stop keeping a stop loss. If it starts going against you, you never increase your stop loss. If that happens, then the whole idea and purpose of indicators and the whole purpose of risk management will not be intact. And second thing is profitability of your portfolio is going to go down way lower. Always a risk reward and always a risk management is necessary for every single trade. Okay, now before I move into showing you a couple more examples, is there any specific instrument that you would look at? SPX is something that I showed. Let's look at a stock or a commodity that you would like to choose, and we'll look at those stocks with the same indicators and see how it has performed in the past and what we can expect it to do as of today. Any specific instruments, please do write it in the chat. I will wait for a minute for you all to write in the chat. Getting Amazon is a good stock for the day, especially because there is earnings in the night. I would pretty much avoid taking any trades on Amazon for the night because of the earnings. Earnings, for those of you all who are new to trading, earnings is basically each company releases each quarter, showcasing how much revenue they made. And depending on how the earnings come out, the stock prices tend to move. And usually earnings are released when the markets are closed. So basically, even if the earnings comes in your favor and it's making you profit in the pre-market, there is nothing much you can do about it till the market opens the very next day. Anyway, since we have Amazon open right now, let's look at the ATR for Amazon and as well as the RSI for Amazon. So RSI, I'm guessing most of you all have understood. Pretty easy to identify RSI. Okay, and yeah, this is a good example of how long can a particular instrument be in the oversold or overbought region. You see in this case, although it was a good buy at this price over here, it was a good buy. But if you had to take a buy over here, you would have had to bear a loss of the downside. In this case, the downside pretty much stopped at this point. There are cases where the downside could continue way longer, and hence we need to keep stop losses. There's a buy. Sorry, there's a overbought, and there's a very slight overbought over here. So I think RSI, pretty much most of you will get the idea. At this very point in time on a daily chart, pretty much there is nothing that we can do using RSI. Basically, you stay away from the market. Let's look at if we can take advantage of the next 30 minutes. We have 10 more minutes to end this session, and let's see if we can do a very short term trade. Perfect. So I have Amazon here. Amazon is showing me a overbought position. There was an overbought position here yesterday, and then it dropped. We are back in the overbought. Okay, so we got one indication that the market is going to be dropping at this price over here. There is kind of a hidden divergence as well. If you notice, the RSI is coming lower, whereas the price action is going higher. So if you remember from my explanation, a divergence is when two different things are happening between the price action and the RSI. In this case, the price action is coming lower and lower. The RSI is coming lower and lower, whereas the price of Amazon is going up. So this is one more indication that the price could possibly reverse again. However strong the indicator, we still have to keep our stop losses in place. So let's do that. Now, this is a good trade to take at this point of time for a very short term period. Since I'm looking at 30 minutes, for those of you all who do not know how the time frame is used, a 30-minute time frame is always used to take advantage of maximum next 30 minutes to next 2 hours move only. So if it does not happen, any move does not happen within that time range, it's always best to exit the trade. But in this case, let's take the trade and keep a stop loss and take profit for it. Trade from chart. Let's say we take Amazon worth $50,000. Okay, let's make it 10 shares. All right. So we are taking a short on Amazon for 10 shares. One is because the price has come to overbought. Second is we also saw divergence. The divergence has been coming lower and lower on RSI, whereas the price action has been higher and higher. Now let me go ahead and take the trade. Sorry, this is a buy trade. I need to take a short position, and we have taken the sell. If you all can look at my screen, you see this orange color arrow. This shows a sell indication that you have taken a sell. Okay, right now you can see the profit. After we took the sell, it's making about $6. But now I've done the trade. But this is the most riskiest trade that I can be in right now because I have not kept a stop loss. Okay. Neither take profit is always okay to keep much later. Stop loss is something that you need to take either before you take the trade, execute the trade, or right after you take the trade. It is a mandatory that you keep a stop loss. Now, understanding how we keep a stop loss, pretty much simple. You see, okay. You see the price of Amazon moves about $18, roughly about $20. So in this case, if Amazon goes up from 3446, I want to exit my trade. So I will keep a stop loss of, let's say, $20 on the higher end. So if Amazon goes up by 20 points, basically $20, the current price is 3,447. If it goes up to 3,467.69, I am going to exit the trade. Okay. Whereas the downside, pretty much we can keep a take profit equivalent to my stop loss, which is about $200. Okay, this is your risk reward of 1:1. But knowing Amazon, I know it can give me 1:2. It can even give me 1:3. So let's just keep the standard of 1:2. So I'm risking $200 to make a $400 profit. I modify my trade, and there we go. This is one trade executed at current live price. Even after, let's hope the price action happens while we are still continuing to talk for the next 5-10 minutes. But in the case where this price does not happen today, and you want to know what happened to this particular trade, if you do not have a platform, you can go to Google, you can type out Amazon stock price, and it'll show you live prices. It's a 15-minute delayed price on Google, but nevertheless serves the purpose. If the price goes above 3,468 in the next 30 minutes to 1 hour, that means our stop loss has been triggered. A loss of $200 would be booked. But in the case where the prices start coming down, let's say if it goes down to 410 in the next half an hour or in the next 2 hours, this trade would have been making you a profit of $400. So pretty much this is how the order to get looks. When I talk about risk management, the stop loss over here, this is your risk management. Take profit, you can always decrease, increase. However, if you want to have a very disciplined trading strategy, it is always best to keep your investments pretty much well diversified. Do not put all your money in one instrument. However strong you might feel the trade is going to go in your direction, it's always best to diversify it against at least 3 to 4 different instruments, depending on the strategy and the idea that you have for the instrument. In the cases where you do not have a stop loss, there are other strategies that you can implement to minimize your risk. But in this case, we are looking at strategies where you go purely on the technical basis and you keep your stop losses and take profit as suggested by the RSI and ATR more importantly. So divergence, again, very simple to understand. Just to recap what we have learned, a divergence is when you see two opposite reactions that is happening in the market. In this case, we see RSI making lower lows. Okay, I'll make this a little bigger so it's more easier to understand when I say lower lows. You see it made a high, it went down and came back and made the second high here. Okay, and this is the third high which is still yet to meet. Now in this case it is formed 3 points, so now 3 point gives me one signal to enter. The second thing is we see the divergence on the stock price itself directly. Now looking at the stock price, pretty much from the same level, the opposite reaction is happening on the stock price. The price has been making higher highs, whereas the RSI has making lower highs. So you got that divergence. RSI oversold, overbought is pretty much easy for you all to understand. And the places where you see RSI has been in overbought for a very long time or oversold in a very long time, this is where your stop loss saves you from making losses which you might lose control of if it starts going against you. We have a couple more questions. Let me just look at the questions and try and answer in the last 2 minutes. We have a question. Okay, there's a question on Google. Okay, how do we explain what happened in case of Google yesterday? We would be foregoing potential profits by taking a moderate take profit limit. Yes. So again, that's a very, very good question. Let's look at Google before we. Right. So pretty much this is Google. If the question is what happens if we put a take profit, we might limit our profits, which is very, very true. But you can always increase your take profit as the price action is happening. And you can always put a stop loss above your buy price. So in case the price drops back, you still end up booking that minimal profit. So your take profit could always be extended as the price is moving in your favor. So hence that's why I said a take profit is always flexible. It is not necessary that you need to have a rigid take profit, but a minimum take profit that you need to have is if you're risking $100, a minimum of 200 take profit should be there. Usually, what tends to happen with a lot of investors is when a profit is seen, they end up closing profit too early, whereas a stop loss is not kept and the losses become unlimited. So losses should be limited, profits can be always extended. You can increase your take profit as and when the prices keep going in your favor. As of today, Alphabet pretty much on a daily time frame has not given a overbought region. But if you're looking at a very short term time frame on Alphabet, pretty much this is what would have happened on Alphabet. So if you did not have a take profit and you expect the prices to move up, it could move up or it can drop back down. So in this case, for your example, let's say you happen to buy Alphabet when it was oversold. This was the price, oversold region here, right? You bought Alphabet here. Let me show you on the order ticket. Limit order. Let's say you bought the price at 2717. 10 shares again. Take profit, stop loss. I'm just going to be closing the ATR for now. I'm not able to close the ATR. Okay. ATR, let me close. Okay, let me leave the RSI on. Perfect. So we got a signal on RSI, basically oversold scenario here. You take a buy on that. You keep your stop loss based on the ATR. Let's not look at the ATR right now. Let's look at the profitability. So you kept a a stop loss of, let's say, about $300, and you have also kept a take profit of $600. The question is, what if I keep limit myself on a take profit and the price goes much higher? You could have potentially made more profit on a $300 risk. You could have made a potential profit of $2,000, which is very very true. But in the case of stop loss always remains steady no matter what happens. So take profit could always be moved. Once, let's say, you had a take profit here, you got the news, Alphabet gave out the earnings came out good, so next day, the price of Alphabet is going to open higher. So in that case, you can always change your take profit to a higher level. Now in this case, we'll never know that Alphabet could go up to this high. So you always increase your take profit gradually. At the same time, you can shift your stop loss above your buy price. So in this case, what happens is, in case the market drops back down, you still end up booking $960 profit. But let's say in the case where the market goes up higher, you can bring your stop loss higher. Where the market goes back down again from here, you will still book a profit of $1,500. But let's say that also did not happen, market went up higher. So you keep increasing your take profit, you keep increasing your stop loss. In this case, market eventually came back down. So let's say you increased your take profit, but the market eventually dropped back down to this level, stop loss triggers. You still ended up booking your profit of $1,700. So it's not forgone. Basically, you can always have control over increasing your stop loss, but what you won't have control over is increasing your stop loss. Because if you start increasing your stop loss, hoping for the prices to come back, there has been scenarios where prices might go against you for a very very long time. I'll just show an example of those. Let's say in the case someone bought Alphabet right at the top, for example. The prices kept dropping. Okay, in this case, the loss, because there was no stop loss, can become unlimited. If the price continue dropping, your loss will keep increasing. Hence, stop loss always needs to be fixed. Take profit, you always have flexibility of increasing. In certain cases, I do agree that because you've kept a take profit, you limit your profits. But in case, even if you do not take profit, which is still doable, because if the price continues going more high in your favor, you'll make more money. But a stop loss is always a must. So I hope this RSI and the combination of RSI, combination of ATR gives you a rough idea. Again, this is something which is a very, very, very basic level. You cannot base all your trades only with the information that you've learned today. This needs a lot of practice. This needs a lot of understanding. Trades RSI differs from instrument to instrument. RSI differs from time frame to time frame. ATR depends from time frame to time frame. We need to understand the product really well before you take any trades in any product. So what I would recommend is do a lot of practice. More the practice, the better, and find an expert who you can talk to one on one on a daily basis and polish your skills in terms of learning these indicators. It is something which is easy to understand, but when it comes to the live application of it, is very very complex, because especially when you're taking positions which is more than your account value size, a lot of things matter. Every time you take a trade, it should be consistent in terms of take profit and stop loss. You cannot look at making $500 take profit at one shot, and the next trade aim to make a $5,000 profit. There is no consistency over there. So your exposure, your stop loss, your take profit, these are the most crucial things, even more crucial than the indicators that you've learned today. I hope the session has been useful for you and has added more value if you've already been in trading before. And for the new comers, I hope this session helps you build a foundation. I would recommend get in touch with one of our consultants and get a one-on-one session with them for you to understand much better. And there's just one indicator. We still have a lot of other indicators that you can look at to make a well informed decision before you enter any kind of trading strategy. Please do drop in your comments. Give me your feedback as to how you like the seminar. If you have any feedback for me, please do drop it in the chat. And also, do not forget to give us your review on Google so that we can come up with more such educational sessions for you. And please do write in any specific topics that you would like me to cover in the next session, and we will keep you informed. Thank you all again for taking time to attend this webinar, and I hope to see you all soon and see you all soon in the next webinar. Take care. God bless.